All right, everybody, welcome back to day 11. As of now, no one's watched day 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, or 5, so not sure anybody's going to see day 11 either, but day 11 of Hey Nostradamus by Douglas Coupland. Um, in honor of the Tiger King and the frenzy it's caused, I've become the Chipmunk King, and I've got my pet chipmunk here with me, who's, I don't know, either asleep or has succumbed to what's going around right now. I'm not sure which. Hey, hey. Yeah, I don't know. Not looking, look how pale he looks. Not looking very healthy. Okay. All right. So, day 11. And last we left off, sorry about that. Last we left off, Jason was going to tell us about what happened when he blacked out, or tell us that he blacked out and he doesn't know what happened. He's going to tell us the little business he does remember. All right. So, we are on page 120 in the book. We're going to begin right before the asterisk this time because I wanted to start with that last little paragraph. Cell phone just rang. I have to go. Les says this week's check cleared, so why don't we go have a beer to celebrate? It's 11 a.m. Okay, it's been 6 days since my last entry in this journal, and I'm going to record what happened as fully as I can remember. Les and I went for a beer at the Linwood Inn, a blue-collar place down at the docks beneath the Second Narrows Bridge pilings. I don't know if it was the heat or that we weren't eating the free chicken wings, but by 1 o'clock we were blotto. When in walked this wharf rat, Jerry, who I met in court in 1992. He'd been pulled over in an Isuzu pickup loaded with stolen skis. When the next pitcher of beer arrived, Jerry paid from a big roll of bills. He then said he had a 17-foot aluminum boat with an Evinrude 50 for sale. It was down on the water, and did we want to go for a ride? The boat was a real sweetheart and dead simple. A hull and an engine, a front windshield and a steering wheel, basically a Honda Civic afloat on the harbor's brilliant glassy water. Salt mist and galvanized metal, propeller blades churning in jade green water cut with pale blue smoke. The harbor was dense with freighters, and there was this one Chinese hulk in the midst of it loading up on hemlock 2x4s. Some guy up on deck threw something at us, a lunch bag or something minor, but Jerry drove up to the side of the freighter, which resembled a rusting, windowless 10-story building, and started screaming in Chinese. Jerry, where'd you learn Chinese? My ex, 11 years of my life, and all I'm left with is Cantonese, Hep C, and advanced skills in seafood cooking. The guy up above disappeared for a second, and Les and I said, Jerry, let's get out of here. But Jerry wouldn't listen. The guy up above reappeared over the edge and dropped what seemed to be a cast iron loaf of bread. I have no idea what it was, but it rammed a hole the size of a dinner plate in our boat's hull. We sank quickly and we swam to land near the Saskatchewan wheat pool. We found some ancient rusting rungs, which we climbed up. They put us in a hot, dusty rail yard. We'd gotten coated with diesel oil during the swim, and the powdery gray dirt stuck to us like flour on cod. Les was furious because his wife had been haranguing him for years over his taste in clothes, and today was the first day he was wearing a pair of pants she'd bought for him. Les became morose. She's gonna fry my butt. I said, Jesus, Jerry, what did you say to that Chinese guy anyway? Well, he called me some names, and I called him some names, and then he said he'd sink the boat if I kept dissing him, and then he sank the boat. The damn thing was hot as a stove anyway. Probably better that it sank. Hot as a stove anyway, if something is hot, that means it's stolen. So he had stolen that boat, and so he says it's better it sank anyway. Jerry then flipped open his cell phone, saying, someone will come pick us up. In order to reach the road, we had to cut across 8 tracks in which train cars were shunting according to laws unknown to us, each car capable of shredding us into french fries at any moment. Out at the road, sure enough, there sat a black stretch limo. Its driver was Yorgo, a Russian guerrilla who was also a clean freak. He insisted we take off our clothes and put them on a tarp in the trunk. I asked Jerry why there'd be a tarp in the trunk, and he said, don't ask. So why would there be a tarp in the trunk? Anybody? Anybody? Amari? Yes, Amari. Exactly, because that's where you put dead bodies, right? Because if you're a Russian head guy, you have tarps in the back of your trunk for dead bodies and such, right? So we sat in our underwear in the back of this limo. Les discovered some rot gut scotch in the limo's plastic decanter and tanked himself up even further, while Jerry began obsessing about finding identical trousers so Les wouldn't get in trouble with his wife. This struck me as manic, but then the Russian gorilla threw Jerry a Ziploc bag of Coke, and I saw where the mania came from. I can't do coke. I really can't. Allergies. Anything that ends with ain. I've heard of that. More for me then. Jerry made a noise to Yorgo and some pills appeared from up front. What are they? Well, Jerry said, one pill makes you bigger and one pill makes you small. That's an Alice in Wonderland reference. I took two and we drove around the city and reached the conclusion that we needed to buy clothing, but first we had to wash. We bought a squeezed bottle of dish detergent and drove to Wreck Beach at the base of the cliffs at UBC. Amid the overall nudity, our underwear attracted no notice. We left Les passed out in the car. Out in the water, we used the dish soap to scrape the diesel fuel from our skin, but a group of hippie kids saw us and began screaming at us for using squeeze bottle soap at the beach and began pelting us with oyster shells. So we dropped the bottle and swam down the shore. Once on land, Jerry stole 2 towels from a log and we climbed back up the cliff, at which point I remember wanting some of the scotch Les was drinking. And then my blackout. Jerry's magic pills. If you take something with the alcohol, he blacks out for even longer. The next thing I remember is being in Seattle. Now they live in Canada, remember? The next thing I remember is being in Seattle. Judging by beard stubble, it was maybe 2 nights later. I was on Interstate 5 entering downtown, riding shotgun in an Audi sedan. At the wheel was a skinny, junky-looking guy with chattering teeth. He looked at me and said, "It's okay. You've got the money with you. The important thing to remember is not to panic." Not to panic? Am I supposed to be not panicking about something? This wasn't a situation I wanted to be a part of. The car pulled up to a stoplight. I got out and walked through the first door I saw, which happened to be the West Lobby entrance of a Four Seasons hotel. I caught sight of myself in a jewelry shop's display case. I was sunburnt and wearing a designer outfit like the ones in magazine spreads that no guy ever wears in real life. I had to shed this ridiculous outfit. But how? Where? In the vest pocket, a palm-thick wad of 50s, but no ID, which might prove to be a problem, what with being a Canadian in the U.S., most likely on shady business. One of Jerry's pills was tucked into a deep corner, so I wiggled it loose and popped it in my mouth. At the bar, I ordered a martini and flirted with 2 women who were up from the Bay Area and who worked for Oracle's PR department. I wasn't in their league, but they were fun, and they made cracks about my jacket. In the men's room, I removed it and buried it in the hand towel basket beneath a pile of towels, and then I blacked out once again. When I came to, I was walking past alders and birches beside a stony mountain river. The river wasn't huge like the Fraser, and it wasn't tiny. It was a mountain river that fed into something larger. It was late afternoon, and my hands were behind my head. I could hear someone's feet on the rocks behind me. I looked down and remembered being a kid and staring at sand in the Capilano, seeing flecks of mica and being convinced it was gold. So his hands are like this, and he's walking with someone behind him. He's on a death march, right? He's going to be killed. The river looked cold and was filled with rocks like the one I'd used to kill Mitchell. And the landscape surrounding the river reminded me of the valley forest by the Clausen family daffodil farm in Agassiz. The creepy, sunless forest, carpeted with moss that swallows your feet, and mud that sucks up all noise, summer-proof and free of birds. I turned around to look. Yorgo was behind me, and he cracked me between the shoulders with the barrel of a shotgun. It was just the 2 of us, and we were clearly on a death march. The tarp in the limo's trunk sprang to mind. I also noted how quickly my childhood muscle memory for walking atop River Rock had returned. Yorgo, I could hear, was having some trouble. He probably grew up in a city. I didn't want to struggle meekly to my fate. To this end, I veered ever so slightly toward the wetter, more slippery rocks. It was a simple idea that yielded instant results. I heard Yorgo slip, and as I heard this, I swiveled around and watched him go down hard on the riverbed, his left shin bone snapping like kindling, his weapon clattering off into the water, carried away almost instantly. I lunged for a river rock, and then time folded over in a moibus strip. I was once again in the school cafeteria, and there was Mitchell's head, but now it was Yorgo's head, and in my hand was a rock, and suddenly I had the option of murdering again. Back to the massacre, and he'll come back. I remember after the massacre, I heard that people were praying for the killers, and that made me furious. It's a bit too late to pray for them now, wouldn't you think? I was livid for years afterward. Why do those prayers bug me so much? People praying for assassins. I began to wonder if it was because I had so much hate in my own heart. It's a truism that the people we dislike the most in this life are the people who remind us of ourselves. Now, that's something I believe to be true, and another good quote on page 125. It's a truism that the people we dislike the most in the life are the people who remind us of ourselves, people who remind us of the bad parts of ourselves, really is what he's saying, right? So, this person bothers you because they're so, this one trait or something, or this person bugs you so much. He reminds you of something about yourself that you don't like, even if you haven't made that conscious connection. I'd gone through my life with this massive chunk of hate inside me, like a block of demolished concrete, complete with rusted and twisted metal radiating from the inside. Perhaps I didn't feel I deserved any prayers. For over a decade in my head, it's been, rot in hell, you evil little freaks. No pain is big enough for you, and I wish you were alive so I could blow you up and turn you into a big pile of guts that I could trample all over and douse with gasoline and set on fire. I never could see how anything good could come from the Delbrook massacre. Whenever I heard people saying, look how it's brought us all together, I had to leave the room or switch the channel. What a feeble and pathetic moral. Just look at our world, so migratory. Cars and airplanes and jobs here and there. What does it matter if a few of us who happen to be in this one spot at one moment briefly rallied together and held hands and wore ribbons? Next year, half of us will have moved away, and then where's your moral? After another few years, I simply became tired. I kept on asking for a sign, and none ever came. And then there I was on a riverbank with Yorgo, holding a river rock above my head. Huh? Instead of Tiger King, I'm doing Chipmunk King. And this is my chipmunk who's either sleeping or, succumbed to the virus. I'm not sure which one. Right.
Daddy, I'm a question.
Yep, I'm trying to do this. What?
Tonight, can me and Wayne make a fort? Is that what you're thinking?
I don't know. We'll talk later, okay? Right now, I got to do this. Go on.
I want to make a picnic fort with some chairs.
I hear you. I understand, but I want to talk to Mommy about it first, okay? I love you. I dropped the rock into a nearby boulder. It sent sparks of granite chip. Oh, okay. So he says, and there I was on a riverbank with Yorgo holding a river rock above my head. Now, this ties back to when he threw the rock at Mitchell. Right? Now, there wasn't a question. He wasn't trying to be a murderer, no matter what his dad may have said later. You had murder in your heart. You chose not to overcome it. There was a situation. The guy was shooting other students. Cheryl was in there. He picked up the rock. He threw it. He killed the boy. He stopped the shooting, the massacre. Doesn't make him a murderer. But here he is again, right? And he's holding another rock in another situation where this guy was trying to kill him, but this guy's not in a position to kill him now. Doesn't mean he wouldn't if he could get up. But right now, Jason's standing over him with a great big river rock, going to smash his head in and end this scenario. Or does he choose not to smash his head in and hope for the best? Right? And he, like we just read, he throws the rock away. I dropped the rock into a nearby boulder. It sent sparks of granite chips into the air and then quickly huddled lost among thousands of similar rocks. I felt like I'd committed an anti-murder, like I'd created life where none had existed before. Yorgo said, "You're just weak. You're too frightened to kill me." I looked at him. His tibia poking into the drape of his slacks. His bone had broken through his skin. It was pushing on the cloth of his pants. That may be the case, Yorgo, but it doesn't look to me like you're going anywhere soon. And what? You despise me for not killing you? He sneered my way. You do, don't you? Yorgo spat to his left. I said, what a loser. Give me your cell phone. His hand went to his coat pocket. He removed it, and just as I was about to take it, he tossed it sideways toward the river. I asked him, where are we? He looked away. I see. You're going to be cute with me. That makes a lot of sense. I looked at the rocks around us. You know, Yorgo, the easiest thing for me to do would be to build a cairn of river rocks on top of you. It'd take me 30 minutes, maybe 30 minutes to do, and it would quite easily keep you in place until this winter's flooding sweeps away both it and your remains. I could tell Yorgo was catching my drift. I walked up to the riverbank and saw no evidence of roads, paths, or people. This was good, and that it decreased the chance of having been seen by a jogger or a fisherman. I listened for cars or a highway. None. I came back to him. I'm not going to do anything, Yorgo, not for now. I'm going to walk away from here, and when I find a phone, I will call one person for you and tell them where you are and that your leg is wrecked. Yorgo remained quiet. Or I can simply leave. So if you want to have even a sliver of hope, you'd best give me a number to call. I walked away. Stop! Yorgo yelled out a phone number. I found a pen in my pants pocket and wrote it on the flesh at the base of my thumb. I walked west. As the light entered its final waning, I came upon a field with a few cattle, so I hopped the barbed wire, trudged across the field, and made my way on a paved road out toward a highway that glowed in the distance, maybe an hour's walk away. The nighttime summer haze was soaking up the highway's car headlights and street lamps, and it was shooting that light skyward as brightly as the Las Vegas Strip ever did. The farm buildings were built in the Canadian style. I figured the highway had to be the Trans-Canada. And to judge by the mountains faintly contoured against the night sky, I was still in the Fraser Valley, most likely not too far from the Clausen family farm. Like most suburbanites, I'm creeped out by agricultural areas. Every footstep reverberated clearly, and I began imagining I was hearing someone else's footsteps. I looked at the darkened fields and unlit sheds and junk cars. The air smelled of manure, and I wondered if I'd see methane will-o'-the-wisps dancing beyond the road. It sounds like dogs are killing themselves out there, doesn't it? We have some neighbors, some very unneighborly neighbors who leave their dogs out all the time, 24/7. Yeah, lost it. I'm sorry. All right. I remembered Grandma Clausen hectoring Grandpa about devil worshippers stealing their rototiller, about their vanishing pets, and about bodies that were always being found in the lakes and streams and ditches of Agassiz. Crimes are never solved in places like this, only discovered. I imagined headlines in the local shopper papers. Man's remains washed up in Fraser River Delta. Girl guides find skeleton. Russian mother asks locals for help locating only son. My mind raced with thoughts of death. Not only am I going to die sooner rather than later, I'm going to die alone and lonely. But then I remembered so were my father and mother. Considering this further, I realized most people I knew were going to die alone and lonely. Was this life in general, or was it just me? Did I unwittingly send out the sort of signals that attract desperate souls? I looked at the shadows of sleeping cattle and thought, lucky farm animals, lucky space aliens, lucky anything but humans, never having to deal with knowing how foul or desperate their own species is. I remember once at dinner when I was a kid, I sarcastically asked Reg what we'd do if we learned to speak with the dolphins. Would we try to convert them? Oddly, he missed my intent. Dolphins? Dolphins with a whole English language at their command. Sure, Dad, why not? What a good question. I was so surprised that he'd taken me seriously that I became serious in turn. I added, we wouldn't even need translators. We could speak with them just as we're speaking with each other here. Reg pulled himself back into his seat, a posture he usually reserved for deciding which form of punishment we deserved. He said, in the end, no. There would be no point converting dolphins because they never left God's hand. If anything, we might be asking them what it's like to never have left, to still be back in the garden. Jesus, Dad, you have to be so random. Why is your kindness or wrath about as predictable as knowing when the phone is going to ring? I've never known what will set you off. I still don't. Nobody does. You've built this thing around you, this place you call the world, but it's not the world. It's Reg's little private club. You're only concerned with making people conform to your own picture of God, never trying to cool the suffering of anyone in pain. As I walked, I tried to recall any crimes or events leading to my Riverside drama. I came up blank. How odd to be guilty of enormous acts yet be unaware of them. Maybe this is what it feels like to be born with original sin, or rather, to fully believe in original sin, to live always with a black sun hovering above you, right? Because he did something that led him to be by that river with Yorgo trying to kill him, and he has no idea what it is, and he'll never have any idea what it is. He never gets those blackouts back. So it says it's like believing like you're guilty of original sin. Like you're guilty and you have no idea what you did, and so seemingly through no fault of your own, you're guilty. So here he is, kind of in the same situation. And then I felt truly old for the first time. Old in the sense that I was beyond the point of ever doing something radical or bold to change the course of my life. I was going to remain a contractor's flunky to the grave. I just wanted to put a rusty, thick steel Chinese freighter of a wall between me and everyone else's problems. I was sick of wanting money. I was sick of being without a goal. But I hadn't killed Yorgo. I stopped and processed this thought. I could have killed him, but I didn't. I was happy, but I was also annoyed. Maybe in spite of all my attempts to block it, my father's sense of will had become my own. Oh, dear God. The stars above looked milky like they only do in summer. I saw some sheet lighting off somewhere in the mountains, and then I felt the chunk of concrete hate fall from my chest. A part of my life was over, I realized. I was now in some new hate-free part, and I began to hear the highway's pale drone. To the east was an overpass with a gas station. Once there, I checked to find that I had on me about 200 bucks Canadian and 20s that all shared the same serial number. I got change for one and looked at the Pirelli calendar behind the box of Slim Jims. It told me that I had that first beer with Jerry 5.5 days ago. I phoned in to collect my messages, 11, As I retrieved them, each push on the payphone's keypad was like waiting for a punch to the gut. I braced myself for anything. The first message was from Barb, in tears and without much to say but that she was missing Kent. Following this were calls from my mother in varying states of sobriety and asking about Joyce's diet, which was her way of saying she was running out of money. The next was from Kim asking if I knew where Les was. Next was Les saying, "Buddy, I owe you big time on this one. I wouldn't donate a kidney for you, but something pretty close. Take tomorrow off, and I still can't believe you let that cute little sales chick sell you that clown suit. Man, she brings you those little cappuccinos with a sprinkle of cinnamon. They play a song you like on the sound system, and before you know it, you're looking like a balloon twister at my kid's birthday party." The next message was from Reg, still at the hospital. "Jason, don't hang up. It's your father. Yes, your father. They found something inside me that's not quite right, so they've been holding me here longer. Thank you for bringing in my things. I know you didn't have to do it. I've been considering your reaction to my words. No, I don't think one of Kent's twins is a monster, but then what does happen when the self splits? What happens when a cell splits 5 times with quintuplets? Each has a unique soul. And what if they made 1,000 clones of Frank Sinatra? Each would have a unique soul. So then by extension, Jason, let's say we were to clone an infinite number of souls from one starter soul, yours or mine or the Queen's, whoever's, and say we filled up the universe with this infinite number of cloned souls. Wouldn't this mean that each human soul is infinite as well as full of unimaginable mystery? I'll leave it at that, son. I've never wanted anything more for you than the kingdom. Goodbye, bastard." The gas station clerk stared at me. I said, "Bad day," and he said, "Taxi?" "Huh? Your taxi's here." I'd ordered one. "Tell him to wait a second." I phoned the number Yorgo'd given me. It rang maybe 7 times and I almost hung up. Then a man answered, some Freon-blooded goon, a crooked cop, a junkie. "Yorgo wants me to let you know where he is." "Does he now?" "He's stuck up some river a few miles east of Chilliwack, and I have a feeling he's been there a few times before. Anyway, his left leg's broken. He can't move." "And this is the number he gave you?" "Look, I didn't have to tell you this. I'm doing you a favor." "Yorgo? He's no favor to me." I asked, "So are you going to go get him?" "No." "You're serious?" "Yes, I'm serious. Call the Girl Guides. I have to go now." He was serious. I hung up, I bought a map and some gum, then taxied back to the Linwood Inn to retrieve my truck. Once we arrived, I located my secret key stashed beneath the fender and opened the door. I told the cabbie my money was fake, and to pay for the ride, I gave him my CD collection. My final request was that he take the map on which I had written a reasonably detailed description of where Yorgo was and of his condition, and deliver it to the Lonsdale RCMP station. He was to have no idea who left it in the cab. He was a nice guy. He went. And so I drove back home where I am now, tired and hungry and coming down off God knows what, and utterly in need of solace. I guess the thing about blacking out is that you blacked out. There's no retrieval. There's not even hunches, and you might as well have been under a general anesthetic. I mean, who was that guy who picked up the phone when I called about Yorgo? I checked the crisscross phone directory, but it's unlisted. And Jesus, Yorgo, out on the rocks, maybe being rescued in an hour or two, either my friend or my enemy for life. My apartment feels like a mousetrap, not a place to call home. In the bathroom, I expected Yorgo's twin brother to jump out from behind the shower curtain with either a silenced Luger or a bottle of vodka to celebrate all that's good in life. When I came out, some beer bottles settled on the balcony, and the clinking made me spasm out of my chair. I'm going to crash on a friend's couch for the night. I'm in a Denny's in North Van, booth number 7, a dead breakfast in front of me, a couple arguing about child. You know what? I better stop here. Yeah, there's a lot left here. Not a lot left. There's a little bit. There's, I don't know, 33. It's like 13 pages left in this chapter for Jason, and we'll cut it off there. I think we're in a good spot. All right, and then we're going to find out there's another secret, another twist coming. Well, one of the many twists coming, but one's coming soon. So this was day 11. I'll stop it here, and we'll pick back up tomorrow. I hope you've enjoyed the videos. My chipmunk friend here, as I'm the chipmunk king, did enjoy it very much, I don't think. And with that being said, we'll end the video here, and I'll catch you tomorrow. All right, guys, I love you. I miss you. Don't forget to take your quiz. It's due tomorrow. All right, bye.